Good evening. Hello, John.
Good. Hello, Derek. How you doing? Wait
Good,
till I
mate.
get my juice.
Yeah, just we'll get the sharing on the go before people log on because they're always a couple of seconds behind before we
Hmm.
can before we can share. And when people come on, they'll be seeing us about 30 seconds after this. Let's let us
Yeah,
on now,
lovely.
so we can share. Let's share to my personal page, and we're on Twitch and YouTube, and we're on your channels, John, as well.
We're on my channels as well. Yes, we're on my Facebook, my Twitch, my YouTube,
Yeah.
and also Daily Motion just for fun. So
What's
anyone on
what's
my
Daily
Daily
Motion?
Motion, yeah, that's another kind of video sharing site. It's not unlike YouTube, except it has perhaps a little less. Um, what's that word again that they do when they don't like what you talk about? Censorship.
It's like conspiracy. It's like Claire is not well just now because
Is Claire not well? Oh dear.
she's hopefully she can still maybe manage a show tomorrow night, but she's not been well. But if not, we'll plod on without Claire because she was going to do some demonstrations of mediumship as well because she's really doing well.
Oh, that's good. That's
Tomorrow
good.
night in Inverness, so I've still got some tickets for the Chieftain in Inverness.
Nice.
Get in touch if anyone wants one. But we see we've got 4 people on just now, so waiting for people to log on.
Ah, I'm just beginning to see the names appearing on my restream
Yeah.
screen here.
Claire says she won't make it tomorrow night. Oh, that's a pity.
No. Oh dear.
But not to worry, Claire. There'll be other times, so we'll send you healing.
Absolutely, yes.
You just have to find some other guinea pigs I can play with. It's like Anna, yeah, Anna McInnes, yeah, she could come up. She could be the past life
Well, you're
regression.
looking, Derek, are you looking for someone else to kind of land in it? You know, like where you say, just come on for a 5-minute chat or something, and then you leave them to do the work. Are you going to...
That's how you learn. That's how you learn. And it's just like
Yeah, you know?
you've got to trust in the angels, haven't you?
Absolutely. Well, that is the topic. That is the topic of the day as well, isn't it? We could maybe talk about how much we think we can trust the angels.
Well, that's it. Tonight's subject is angels and aliens. And I thought the last time we did this, it was quite a chat. And we quite have people all over the world tuning in here and talking about angels and aliens and their thoughts, not just on UFOs, John, but all sorts of. There was some religious chats about what they thought about angels and how people used them, whether it's in healing or and are angels aliens? That's a question that was asked last time.
Are angels aliens? Yes. Well,
Interesting.
even the definition of aliens, we need to reconsider. Because a lot of people think of aliens as being okay, so they're orbiting in a spaceship or something like that, and we've got, I mean, what we're talking about. Should we get some images?
Yeah,
But actually, it's not necessarily the case of, uh, where they come from, but possibly when they come from,
yeah,
or even what dimension they come from, because they're not necessarily coming from another place. We could be coming from another vibration, dimension / density, or whatever you want to call it. Because a lot of different people have got different perspectives about it. So we're not just talking about necessarily aliens as in other planets. We could be talking about interdimensionals,
yeah.
interdimensional beings who just come from perhaps the same place and time, but from a different density. So there's lots of conversations and lots of different things people think about it. So it's possible that some of the entities that we think of as angels could actually just be interdimensional beings.
Well, it's interesting you're saying that. I was having a chat with somebody the other day, and we're talking about different dimensions, from third to fifth, and there's more and more people aware of what we're talking about, for starters, in the
Yes,
third
yes,
dimensional, fifth dimensional, because there's a lot of people we could say are waking up or asking questions. What's this all about? And a lot of people are feeling more things in their emotions and senses, and especially guys, John. I've got more guys just like yourself who are coming to workshops and courses now as well. So it's not just traditionally it was a lot more women that would come to my shows and events because
yeah,
women are classed as the intuitive, the feminine side is the intuitive side, That comes from like women giving birth and stuff like that, the intuitiveness to their children, the protector side of them and all that as well. But men are very intuitive as well and can open up to that emotional side, the sentient side.
The sensing side, yeah. It it's kind of an interesting thing, isn't it? Wherever you look when we think about intuitives, and it's kind of interesting with us two sitting here. We're both guys. Is it true that a lot of people, we assume that the best intuitives or the most that there are out there are normally women? I think it's the perception is that men tend to be, perhaps not quite as close contact with their inner feelings and things like that, and you kind of have to have done a lot of that kind of emotional inner work to really be able to develop those kind of connections. And I think there's a perception perhaps that women are often, trying to choose my words very carefully here.
Yes.
But women are often considered to be more in command, more in tune. More in tune with their emotions and the feelings. And an awful lot of information that we get psychically, intuitively, comes from emotions and feelings, especially if you're an empath or clairsentient.
Yeah. And I
That's
think
what
maybe if you focus on the empath sort of side of it, where if you're sitting next to people at work and you suddenly start feeling sad or frustrated or moody, and you know it's not you, and it's the person next to you, whether it's male or female, and more people are becoming aware of that and protecting their own energy now, and especially with phones and that now, people get so carried away with emotional stuff on their phones, for example, and that we
Yeah.
never had that when we were younger and kind of probably into our giving away our age here, probably into our 30s before even later, John, because I mean, you're slightly older than me, but I'm 57 this year, so it's like
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm only 25.
That's it, yeah. But it's just
I just had a hard paper round.
yeah, and I think when we were working in the early days, we never had the sort of social media side of it, which actually heightens the senses in some sense.
Yeah, pardon me 2 seconds. Right, there we go. Sorry. I just went onto the Facebook page there and instantly got the volume.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Do that. Anyway, here we go.
Yeah, but it's good that the stream's working fine. That it's not jumping up and down. You never know with these technology. But getting back to the social kind of media, and you think of the technology that we've seen in our lifetimes, John.
Yeah.
Some of that must have came from somewhere. Some of that, the technology that we're seeing in our lifetimes, it's been it's so fast. It's changed so dramatically. It must come from some sort of alien technology.
Well, there is this secret space program thing, and we wonder where the kind of some of the secret ops that the governments have got. We wonder where they got some of the ideas for it. There's an awful lot of information out there, though, and an awful lot of it is rubbish. We kind of have to, not throw caution to the wind when we're looking at this kind of information. There's so much of it that is disinformation, probably channeled from official sources, just to muddy the waters and confuse everybody so that we can never really figure out what's really going on. But what can't be denied, though, is that in the 1960s, a computer that has considerably less power than this, considerably less power than this would have taken up a whole massive room. And would have been an awful lot slower. And it's weird when you think about it. When I first started using computers, I was in my 20s, and I can remember working in a paint shop, and I was all excited and everything when we first got a computer, because before that you used what was called a Cardex system to control your stock, and it was like a rotating kind of wheel that had these cards in it, and you had to handwrite in your stocks, and every time you sold something, you'd handwrite it in and draw a line under it, and you have your new balance, And when they first brought in a computer system, it was really exciting, because suddenly it could process orders like it was a fancy tool, and you could upload and download every night all your sales to head office. And then they created a new stock system, but I was really excited about this because they're amazing. They control the whole stock for all the company and all that. But that stock system, it was something like, I think the computers had a capacity of 4K, 4 kilobytes. It had a capacity of, and I was really, really, really excited about what it could do. When I was in my 20s, and the memory capacity of it was 4K. I'm not sure now. I think the computer I'm using now to talk to you has got maybe a little bit. It's a gaming laptop, and it has a little bit more capacity than 4K. It can do some amazing things, and it does make you kind of wonder, where all that technology came from in such a small period of time.
It does, and I think, don't get me wrong, I love technology, and I love my gadgets and stuff. I've always been interested in technology, and even the cameras. And you think in our phones, what we can do in our phones is unbelievable. But also, when you think about the knowledge that people can get from the internet, like you can put in. A lot of people ask me lately about numbers, John. Angel numbers. They keep saying 111, or like if somebody asked what's the meaning of 1717 the other day, and repeating numbers 333s. I love my numerology, but you can go on the internet and find the answers. Lots of answers very similar to what I'm saying when I tell them as well, and that's fascinating because people can learn. And astrology, it's something I'm not really into. It's astrology, but you can put in your star sign, the date when you're born, and the internet will tell you.
Yeah,
Like,
you can get a whole astrological chart to download within minutes if you put in a few details like your date of birth and the time you were born and the place where you were born. You can get your whole astrological chart almost instantly downloaded within a few minutes.
Yeah,
It's
and
quite incredible, isn't it?
No, I think that's now. It does leave it open for the scammers and stuff like that as well to rip people off. And I did a wee event at the weekend there, and just sort of a wee crowd of 30 people. And I was telling them to watch that there is charlatans out there who will rip you off and who will make false claims and whatnot. And we abide by the regulations, even though I don't always agree with them at times. And we can't talk about fertility, finance, and health, really, when we're doing live events, because we're on the Consumer Act, that's psychics and mediums. But, people do get kind of led astray sometimes by technology as well. And, and people can corrupt that technology. And that's a scary bit for me.
Yeah, I mean the way that technology is going at the moment, it's going to more and more and more scary heights. One example of that would be a certain gentleman who just recently bought Twitter.
Oh yeah.
So Elon,
Yeah.
so Elon has his thumb in many pies, including Tesla, and SpaceX, and the Boring Company. Which is all about burrowing underground, which is an interesting mix of technology, really, when you think about it. I mean, honestly, if you think about the access to technology that Elon has, it's like something out of a James Bond movie. You would expect the James Bond arch criminal to have what he's got, and now he's got Twitter. Now that I don't have anything against him having Twitter, to be honest, because he's kind of made the place a lot more fun, and there's a lot less censorship. So it's not that censorship isn't there. It's just I think it's just not being applied in the same way. So you can kind of say a lot more there and be a little bit more honest about what you think without suddenly finding yourself deplatformed, which is a good thing. But Elon kind of worries me a little bit because something else that he's been wanting to do over the last few years is put chips in people's brains, and it's a beginning of a thing called transhumanism.
Well, that's it, John.
And this is worrying technology.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're touching on is, now I know when you read some of his stuff, because like him or love him or hate him, whatever, he always said that he used to meditate. And a lot of the successful people have got very successful minds by meditation and quieting their mind and getting the thoughts that come into them. Now, not only can they do that, we can do that, John. This is what we teach in our spiritual development. And this is how a lot of guys have got the mindfulness. They've got problem-solving skills now. They take that step back. And it's just like when you watch the news, and just now it's all strikes this and strike that, and everybody's getting frustrated with strikes, but they're forgetting behind that what's really going on, and that's what we don't see in the media. But if you take that step back and take that breath, then you can really see what's going on, and you can feel it, and you can talk to people by proper conversations, by talking to the people that are involved. And that's coming back, I think, because there's a lot of distrust now with the media, and likes of the YouTube and the Twitches and other channels. It's like another world of TV. I've got friends now who don't watch normal TV, even Sky. They watch YouTube, they watch Twitch, they watch other platforms, and they get all their news from that. And they make their own minds up. So they don't watch the traditional. And there's more and more people doing that. And I think that's to get the truth in some sense. So when we're talking about angels and aliens, I think sometimes the angels guide us to try and see this is the higher self, the kind of God energy, whatever you want to call it. There's so many different names that when we're in that meditative state, the alpha state, or even delta, when we go up and we connect to something, the universe, or whatever you want to call it, and nobody can deny it now because the science is catching up with it. And it's like, I had to laugh, John. I was at a workshop, it must have been about 7 or 8 years ago, and it's one of my friends, Jack Black, who runs Mind Store, and he was talking about remote viewing and clairvoyance and stuff. Not clairvoyance, but like visualizing, which is really clairvoyance. It's like visualizing. So all these successful people, motivators, Tony Roberts said, all these people are using basic spiritual development tools.
Well, this is true, and just you mentioned clairvoyance. I mean, that was the first. I mean, of course, everyone. If you think about, could I be psychic and could I be intuitive and things like that, the first thing that people tend to want to be is clairvoyant. Ooh, imagine I could see something right there, and people kind of want to be clairvoyant. Clairvoyance originally, that French term, clear seeing, really meant just clear seeing, what's going on in the world around you. It didn't actually have any original psychic connotations, but it kind of developed into having that connotation. And then the other terms came along afterwards. But actually, if you can dream, then you're clairvoyant. It's as simple as that, because when you dream, let's think about it. Your eyes are closed and you're asleep, and the only eye you're using is the one you've got inside here, sometimes called the pineal gland, the inner eye. That's what you're using when you're dreaming. So you're proof every time you dream, that's proof positive that you're clairvoyant. So we don't have to worry about whether we can see. We just have to understand that if we can dream, then we can see.
That's like, because I remember this old psychic saying to me, and doing a fantastic card reader, and I've said it to you often when you started out, is you dream over the cards. It's like
you dream over the cards.
And he's saying it's true. And it's like, but I used to do that over food. It's like if I was in a buffet, I used to visualize that buffet or that food before it started. So that's like clairvoyant in a sense, because you're visualizing it and you're seeing it before you finish it. You know what I mean? And sometimes you see something, you don't know how you're going to get there, but you end up getting there. And it's just like when we're doing the tea leaf readings, for example, and we'll laugh at this because we're in the top 12 for doing a tea leaf reading party and something different, unique with Eventbrite. And unfortunately, we didn't win it. We've got the news this week, John. We didn't win that competition, but we're in the top 12 at the whole UK for different, unusual, and parties. A tea leaf reading party. And we came top 12, and I thought it was amazing. It was Angela's idea, and it was a fantastic idea because we got people together round a cup of tea, and we all had different experiences. We pulled a few angel cards, and we spoke about real life issues. And then we all would have a thought that would come in our heads that maybe help the person we're talking to. And to me, that's what we all see things. We all have that inner knowledge or inner visions. And I think that's what we forget is we've all got a higher self. It's like, example, if a drug addict came in to see me, that guy wouldn't have long to live because he's injecting himself with poison, basically, and he's going off his head. But if you come in 2 weeks later, and he was in a dry out program, he's really trying to improve his life, we see and feel things for them. And you don't have to be psychic to do that. And it's just, that's a similar sense, and
Yeah, I mean, and this is why I prefer the term intuitive, because all the psychic senses are is an intuitive extension of your normal mundane senses. I mean, if you think about your favorite dessert, you'll probably be able to almost taste it and smell it in your, just thinking about it. If that's never happened to you, I'll be very surprised. If you think about your favorite food or your favorite flower, if you think about a rose in your mind, and you think about it, you'll be able to smell that rose, in your mind. So straight away, so those are just an intuitive extension of your psychic sense, of your normal mundane senses. If you think about your favorite tune, if you think about your favorite song, you'll suddenly be able to hear it in your mind. The amount of time you'll say, "Oh my God, I can't get that song out of my head," right? What do you think that is? Clairaudience, okay? And this is what people don't realize, that they're being intuitive all the time.
yeah.
Every day, almost, just routinely, without thinking about it, they're just being intuitive. They're being psychic, if you want to use that word, and they don't even know they're doing it. Just thinking about that tune, they can't get it out of their head. That's clairaudience.
I know, it's like, I keep getting that song, "You Spin Me Right Round, Baby."
Well,
It's like, because you're spinning the
yeah.
chair, God, I've got
Or,
that.
or it's
Oh,
using the same centers of the brain. So
yeah,
if you can do that, then you can be intuitive.
yeah.
That's really what I'm saying.
And this is what I'm saying. If a guy like me, with my background, can do what I do, right? Anyone can do it, and I teach it now. And you've been on some of the classes in the past, John, and it's actually easier than we think. We let the mind take over, in a sense, as in we overthink it. When consciousness is there, and that's the little voice, your own voice, the heart voice, is there. Um, when it feels something, or that first thought that comes into you, it's always important, that first thought, and then the mind takes over and questions it and analyzes it and whatnot. And that's like the computer side of it. That's the logic side, and it's now scientifically proven. And this is what I feel with when we talk about angels. I think they were enlightened beings, that came down, and there's so much in the Bible, there's so much other things in different cultures. Now, this is why I've got this theory, and it's is that you watch the Ancient Aliens, people understand this, that some angels were aliens.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of theories out there. Some of the theories out there are very scary. There are interpretations of the Sumerian tablets that suggests that there are correlations between what happened in the Babylonian times, Sumerian times, and what it says in the Old Testament.
Mhm.
There are actual correlations suggesting that. But anyway, what I could go on and say here could actually trigger anyone if they're actually Christians, so maybe I shouldn't.
Oh,
But there's an awful lot of information out there, of course. But then again, there's the likes of Graham Hancock and people like that who have written books, kind of suggesting that the ancient alien hypothesis, suggesting that some of the gods and goddesses of pagan times, perhaps even the god concept that we have now, as it developed from the kind of the sun god and the moon goddess from ancient times, developing into Christianity and the other Abrahamic faiths, that could have all been based on visitations. Alien visitations. There is that theory. The only trouble I've got with that theory, it has to be said, is that it kind of deifies ET in a way that I'm not really fond of at all. So that if ET did come, decide to land in the White House lawn, as they say, people could actually almost deify ET in a sense, and expect ET to solve our world's problems. And if you go on to even YouTube and watch any of the kind of the YouTube channels where you've got people who are who say they are channeling different beings, different entities, whether it's angels, whether it's different ETs, whether it's interdimensional beings or what have you, the vast majority of them don't actually know what or who they're really channeling.
Yeah.
And the information that they're getting is also very worrying, and also kind of relates into this transhumanism thing that I was talking about earlier. Because some of the some of the information is almost kind of leading us towards a place where we could be, it's like an alien as God concept.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a big computer,
And
you
it's,
know.
yeah, and it's beginning to worship technology to the point where transhumanism could be a real possibility in the future. Building cyborgs and stuff like that. I mean, if you think about what I said earlier, the difference between this device and a computer in the 1960s, it's not that crazy a thought to think about in another 20 or 30 or 50 years they could be building cyborgs. But it's actually quite a scary thought that in 20 or 30 or 50 years they could be building cyborgs. Because what does that do to a human being? What does that do to the human condition? And where does that lead the world if people are beginning to worship technology in that way? Do they actually think that part of the concept of transhumanism is the idea that you can make yourself immortal with it? So instead of relying on your spiritual nature and on ascending after you transition from this life, you're now relying on trying to remain here and not have to leave by attaching bits to your brain, and you're trying to make yourself spiritual by putting devices in your brain that create what you think of as a connection with a collective, but all it is a technological connection. It's not actually the real thing. And it's a very, very, very worrying place, where it could be headed. So it's just something to be cautious of.
I think that's why we chose the subject tonight, as both being spiritual as well as in asking the questions. We're not promoting anything. We're not being conspiracy. We're just asking what people think. And I put out there who believes in angels. When there is the spiritual side, it's like the winged angels that come down that are portrayed in the movies and whatnot. Do we 100% believe in that? Well, some people have seen that in their vision or they've been portrayed to them, and they 100% believe it. And, I've seen things in my life, and I wouldn't say it's like an angel, but I've seen entities or whatever, in front of me, or felt a presence, and it's been an experience. Sometimes it's scary, sometimes it's so loving, And when I'm bringing through spirit as in the mediumship, I know there's guys there. I can sense and feel different energies there. And sometimes I've seen, there's a picture in my office, you've seen it. It's just like it's like a globe of energy, but it's shaped in like matchstick men. It's like I've seen that. Now, whether I'm going off my head seeing that, whether it's mental health, I don't know, but I've seen it and I still question it, and I kind of talk to it in some sense telepathically. And when I'm developing, and you get people coming to classes, a lot of people have had these experiences, and some people have actually seen aliens. They've seen alien technology. They've seen ships. And over the years, when I was at sea, I've seen some strange lights and whatnot when I was at sea in the oil rigs. And this is where we've got to question, are we the only ones? And it's like everyone. It's big business as well, this UFO stuff and all that. But everyone's asking the questions now.
Well, I don't think it's I don't think it's there's a possibility that we're the only ones. I think it's kind of a weird kind of arrogance, almost kind of it's that 2,000-year-old religion and the old belief that we are the center of the universe and everything revolves around us.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's a lot of humans that kind of believe that in their own lives as well, isn't there? But you have, I think you have to be careful about that. It's the one thing, of course, saying that they must exist because in an expansive universe we have, they must exist. But it's another one to say they're all here. I think a lot of the sightings that people have are more likely to be interdimensionals. But the other thing that we have to think about, though, is if ET is actually here, in the little flying saucers, buzzing around and things like that, and being seen by airline pilots and all that kind of thing, creating crop circles and what have, because they want us to notice that they're there or whatever, right? There is apparently, according to some of these, according to some of the people who are channeling on YouTube and other places, they believe that they're they're making a presence felt and they're here to help and things like that, while at the same time saying that they have a prime directive where they're not allowed to interfere, a bit like the prime directive on Star Trek, and programs like that, suggesting that non-interference is like their main rule. But if non-interference is their main rule, then they shouldn't be here at all, should they? They should be keeping a distance, so we shouldn't even know about them. So it makes it so if ET is actually here, then we can't just assume that they're all positive and love and light. And this, which again comes back to my point that I made earlier, it is not a good idea to deify them, because if they were to land in the White House long, I guarantee you they're not necessarily dangerous, but that doesn't mean that they're necessarily our best friends either. They're going to have their own filter mechanisms, their own motives, and their own reasons why they're coming. If that were to happen, and I think it would be very dangerous to deify them, and to say, oh well, they interfered with our DNA 6,000 years ago. This explains the missing link and this, that, and the next thing. So therefore, they're our gods. They're really not.
Yeah,
they're really not our gods, and we have to, and what we have to do is we say, if the Anunnaki interfered with our DNA 6,000 years ago, this does not make them the good guys.
Exactly. And there's so many different things out there, and especially if you're in the field that we're in, John, we get inundated with stuff, and you watch Gaia TV, for example. There's some really good stuff about your health and all that, how you can improve yourself. And there's also the kind of weird and wonderful stuff as well. And you just really got to, when I do, as you know, I do the past life regression, and sometimes I've experimented with future life regression as well. And I've had people go back, and there were different races and different energies, and it's amazing when you look at the Dolores Cannon sort of stuff, and some of our stuff is still on YouTube, and she died a wee while ago, and there's loads of information from her research and studies, and she did do a lot of research and studies. She wrote books on it, and and she has some weird and wonderful things. And there's the book, The Destiny of Souls. If anyone's read it, they'll understand from that as well. It's based on past life regression and many lives, many masters. And it just so happens that this weekend I'm doing the workshop is on clearing your past and future lives, you could say, as well, because the past is your future, you know what I mean? But it's all about being in the now, and that's what we'll learn in the course, is being in the now and using the tools that will help you now to move forward. And that's what people forget, is we do live in the now, in this moment. And I think in this moment we're inflicting a little bit of banter now, John, but we're also having a serious discussion. And we want more people out there to kind of get involved in discussion. Or some people are frightened to have the discussion. Some people are frightened to talk about it, but they all ask us in private.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those kind of taboo topics, but there is actually some official information out there, for example, to kind of strongly suggest, although the UK is keeping tight-lipped about it, but there's been bits of information coming, there's been declassified in the US that kind of confirms that, some of the, some of the so-called conspiracies around UFOs kind of confirms that they're not so much conspiracy theories as conspiracy facts. But of course, a lot of the information came out around about the time when the pandemic was at its height and things like that, and of course that information got buried and people didn't really pay attention because everybody was talking about the pandemic. But if you go and you do a little digging, you'll actually find that there has been data declassified that kind of strongly suggests that some of the information about around UFOs is actually true.
100%, yeah. And I think it's a fascinating subject, and we could talk for hours on this alone, and you could show videos and all that. But I just wanted people out there that are going to watch this or download this later on, is to ask themselves that question, because a lot of the things that we do, as in go into yourself, or even when you think about energy healing and how that feels, and the remote viewing, I've taught that as well, reading auras, all that. In some ways, it's like alien. It's different. It's alien. It's like and it is, as Claire says, a fascinating topic. Hello, Heather Lane. and others that are watching. And please get involved and ask questions and put your bit in as well, because I feel we should be talking and questioning things. And, it's like, I never ever thought I would be a Reiki master or be a hypnotist. I'd be doing these things and believing in angels. Now I work with energies as in a medium, and I totally believe in some of the stuff I get. And I do question some of the negative stuff I get as well, John. You're right. You've got to get the balance. If it feels heavy, it's not right. If it feels light, it's right. And there is dark beings, there is dark energies or dark mass. I don't know how you explain it. And we've all been somewhere where it's been quite negative. Or there's been negative energy around, But I always say to people, we've got to accept that negativity, because we need negative and a positive to create the big bang. But let it go through yet. Don't hang on to the negative. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, there's also a thing that actually, when you become spiritual and you begin to do a lot of that inner work, you might start to have interesting dreams, and some of those dreams might not be very comfortable. Because when you're first starting to do the work, your vibration might be high enough to actually, make some contact, but not high enough to bypass the lower astral realms. And so you could find yourself, with entity attachments and things like that you have to kind of shed yourself of and get rid of. But what one piece of good news about that is that the worst that can really happen is you'll wake up thinking you've had a horrible nightmare, and it will feel disturbing a little bit, but these entities that are real, in this place, cannot actually come here and harm you. They can't actually harm you. All they can do is try and make you harm yourself, and they can try and suck your energy. They'll try and feed off your fear. That's why they look horrible, because they want you to be scared, because that's what they feed off of. So as long as you can, arrest your fear, as long as you keep doing the work, as long as you keep meditating, and as long as you keep doing that inner work, then you will bypass that place and you will no longer see them. But there is this kind of little area of caution around this lower astral plane. In anthroposophy, the same place is known as the eighth sphere. Which imagine a circle, if you like, around the planet Earth. Which is like an invisible circle, an area of energy that catches all the kind of negativity and stuff, like from all of our negative emotions and everything bad that happens on the planet, and all kind of goes into this eighth sphere. This is what some kind in spiritual people in the New Age think of as the lower astral plane, which is another way of thinking about the lower fourth dimension. But given that this is still a different dimensional plane, they can't come here and harm you. So we are completely safe from it. But they do have the ability to give us scary dreams, and we just have to have a caution around that and just keep doing the work. Yeah,
there's Claire saying you had dreams that haven't been comfortable, but they've turned out to be completely true. And I had one of the biggest dream I had, and it's quite sad in a way, was I had a dream about my brother. And as you know, what happened to him 3 months before, he died, and I seen him in that dream. And in some ways, we couldn't avoid what was going to happen, because that was the path that he was on. But I got a bit of a warning, and it helped me in some strange ways, Claire, cope. But I had to deal with the aftermath of that, because I was strong for everybody else, and it wasn't until years later that I had to work on myself and go over and grieve for my brother, and a lot of that's to do with mental health as well. But in some ways, I'm glad I had a bit of. We could have changed it, and it's like I remember being drawn to the guys on the rig when I was on the Brent Charlie. We all played pool and snooker in them days, and we didn't have the TV, sat navs and whatnot. And I was drawn to certain guys that week, and that was the guys that lost their lives in the Snook helicopter crash. And I often think I had that feeling now. When I understand what I do, and then the pre-missions that sort of I had, could have made any difference? No, I don't think it would have made any difference to stop that. And very often psychics have said to me, I wish I could tell somebody. However, we've told things. If we're meant to tell somebody, we'll get that message to tell somebody, not to go down that path or whatever. If we're meant to tell them or be in the right place at the time, there's a reason we have to say it. you know, and you just got to trust what you get. And I always say when people come to me for development, is you give what you get. And we've had the old HP sauce one. We've spoken about this in the past, where I've gave that to someone and it's meant something. And it was all about her brother who was overweight and he was getting told off about all the fatty stuff he was eating, and he was clarting a big bacon roll in HP sauce. And she jokingly said to him, "If you don't behave to me, you'll come back as an HP sauce bottle." And I seen that clairvoyantly. It's like, and that's funny how that works.
Mm.
But I was meant to see that, and I was meant to give that because he came through for her. But there's so many. Might be going to prison just before Christmas, just before World Cup final. As well, imagine if England get there, I'll be truly a broken man. I take it that's to do with Tony. It's one of the paired ones, John. What if you one of your channels on YouTube? I take it that's because of the situation in guitar and all that over there about
On
the.
Qatar, right? Okay,
Aye.
yes,
Now,
yes.
I totally, I think it's outrageous, and I think it's, as a football man, daft guy myself, and John will tell you I'm football daft, and I was ashamed of a football club. I think I had the World Cup in the wrong place, and I think a lot more research should have been done. But that's me personally, and I think you know, you can visualize that happening, but sometimes. I remember visualising myself, John, when I was doing the TUC stuff and speeches, and I ended up being in TV and whatnot. And I visualised what I forecast that something was going to happen again, and something did happen again offshore. If they weren't going to take the actions as make it a safer place, and I still feel that strongly now. That this is what all the strikes are about. It's not just about money; it's about people's job security, the safety side of it, and all that. And it's like, no, I'm going to prison for theft. Oh, it's okay then. And
And
well,
assault,
you shouldn't
apparently.
be here. Well, you shouldn't be
Uh,
on this. This is a spiritual thing, so you shouldn't be here. You're on that, unless I don't say there's any reason for that, but we're trying to make a decent conversation here.
I know. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what you're talking about there, Tony. But
He's gone.
yeah,
It's like,
yes,
but it's just, the good thing is it brought us on the subject of what's going on around the world today.
yeah.
Um,
Well, it's interesting. I mean, a lot of the discomfort with the situation, the World Cup being in Qatar and things like that, obviously, is with the spiritual and the religious differences and the differences in culture between the so-called Western nations and some of the Eastern and Islamic nations, and so I mean, what we should be doing is respecting each other's cultures, but that also means respecting the culture of the country you go and visit, which also works both ways. And this is the thing that isn't happening. There's a lot of people who kind of approach the thing with a double standard. And what we need to do is try and be even-handed and fair in the way that we think about these things.
Yeah, I think coming back to the now, when we look at the news and stuff like that, and look at what's going on, and there's this kind of sadness in a sense, or negative issues going on, and there's a lot of falsehoods as well, and I would love to see some good news, some fun stuff on the. But it's like we're watching the jungle just now and all the carry-ons and shenanigans with that, and it's like, in some ways, you watch the jungle and you watch the TV. There's not much difference. It's like you watch the news, but they're all arguing petty things in the jungle and the different personalities, and there is a politician in there, and he's actually looking quite good just now. It's like,
I've not been watching it.
it's like
I refuse to give that rubbish any airtime. But I don't want.
I said I wouldn't watch it, and you start watching it, you get kind of addicted to it.
I don't watch TV at all, though. To be honest with you, I never have it on. I'll stream something occasionally, on Amazon Prime or something like that. But I don't watch TV.
Yeah, and I think it
keeps me sane, and it keeps me away from all the brainwashing.
Yeah. But I think it's good to kind of reflect and watch with an open mind, and you can laugh at it. And that's what you use the humour and laugh at it. But I was watching. I've been watching a lot of channels because obviously we want to grow our own channels and stuff like that, and the chat show, and I've interacted with a lot of different channels. There's some amazing conversations going on the internet on different channels and whatnot, and really interesting conversations that you would have normally probably like in the pub or community sort of gatherings. And I think there's a good side to the technology and the alien technology as well. It's not all bad because, our spiritual message and the healing and peace and love message is getting out there. And people are questioning things like the war and stuff like that that's going on. And, I think you can't get away with much these days because people will find out we've all got cameras, and it's like if something's going on, it'll be on. They'll be on all the different social medias before it's on the main news.
This is true. I mean, it's the kind of local town square is becoming the news. I refer to the mainstream media as legacy media now, because to me it's the media of the past. It's not the media of the future, because they still think that they've got the most influence, but I don't really think they do anymore. There will be a certain core of people who still watch and use religiously and believe everything they say, but I think the numbers are dwindling fast.
Yeah. And you watch the numbers when I was watching on the Twitch channel, we can researching and learning how to interact and do things with that. And there's something like 750,000 people watching at any one time on a gaming channel, just chatting or podcasts live. It's just unbelievable. People talking and chatting and different, from subjects to football, to fishing, to politics, having great conversation, So, and I think it's coming back into community a little bit because I'm noticing in a lot of events we go to, people are talking. I think that's why our tea parties were so successful, John.
Mhm.
It's people want to talk and have these conversations face to face without fear or prejudice as well, and sort of judging people.
I discovered I discovered at your tea party that's one thing I am completely hopeless at. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
We enjoyed this.
I couldn't do it. I had to I just had to reach for my tarot cards. I couldn't do it. I don't know why, but
it's not saying you wouldn't do it, but you've stared at things and made shapes, and there was a lot of good food there. Maybe put you off as well, but I mean, I've stared at water and seen things, and it's like, and that's you kicking in, opening the third eye, and that's what a crystal ball does. It reflects the third eye. And it's just like we're saying this, and so never say that you can't do it or couldn't do it. You'll just try it again in our time.
Yeah, I know. But just in that moment, that was pretty much how I felt about it, and
it's great fun though.
I just grabbed my tarot and says, "I give up."
But then again, when you're reading cards of any sort, it's just like I pulled the angel card just now, just for us all, and it's Igea. It's really kind of nice. And I'm not going to pull any cards just now, but I'm just saying. And it's so funny. It's like this guardian angel protecting this Mother Earth, you could say, the mother figure, right? And it's like, it's a good time to give birth to new ideas and situations in your life and watching over you, guiding you, protecting you during these changes. Now, I think there's a massive change going on around the world. And we're noticing it because guys like me and you who are in this field are getting more and more people coming to us who are unsure of what's going on, who are opening up and their senses are heightened. It's like in some ways the veil's been lifted because they're not being brainwashed all the time with the mainstream media now.
Yeah, I know it is kind of changing. I don't know, the legacy media has had its day is the thing I can think of saying about it. The legacy media has definitely had its day. It's a thing of the past. But again, all that really happens is that the same elites that were controlling the legacy media are controlling the social networks, and of course, apart from what's happening with Elon over at Twitter, the rest of the media is pretty much still the same way and still censoring as much as they were before and upping the ante in the censorship all the time in all sorts of new and wonderful ways. It's almost amazing there's as many people finding this stream, if you think about it, this live stream that we're doing right now.
It's like, but what amazes me is like, there might be only 9, 10, 12 people watching just now, but the people who watch it later on, and
Yeah, a
you're
lot more
listening.
people will see it afterwards. Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of this type of broadcast, whether it's in YouTube or Twitch or whatever. People do watch and look for these kind of subjects, and we need more of it. And that's when next week I've got a really good discussion with Lorna, who you met at that party, John.
Yeah.
And she runs her own place out in St Cyrus Centre, and it's all about new beginnings. And because it's the 1st of December, I thought that's the subject, and it's next Thursday night, and all about new beginnings. And we'll be hearing from her about her story and all her new beginnings. And we'll talk about everybody can have a new beginning. Like every day is a new beginning, and we don't have to live in the past. And being the 1st of December, the lead up to Christmas, sometimes it can be quite sad for folk because you start thinking of loved ones at Christmas time, but it doesn't have to be. And people get lonely. And I've got a blog on loneliness this week, which I do every single year, and people should read it. Is you don't have to be. Being alone is not a bad thing. You can have time to study. You can. When Angela went away for she was away seeing the girls and all that, and away doing something, and I was alone for a wee while. And it was great because we carry out, watched all the spacey movies, and we invited our pal Steve up for the weekend as well. We had a night out for the weekend because she was away a Halloween weekend or a spooky weekend, and it's good to be alone sometimes. And I know people who have lost people and often feel the loneliness of loss. But if we stay in that negative, we say, okay, our mother, our father, our loved one's no longer there, but we can go and meet other people and we can take time to heal. But sitting there and sort of being down in the dumps about it, it's not going to change our situation. And this is what we're saying about the new beginnings next week is, just take that first step. And I've got a workshop in January, John, and you've been to some of my positive thinking workshops about the goals and all that. And setting a goal is not easy. It's like if you're quite happy in your life, I always say to people, and it's a bit of the Access Bars kind of stuff. It's like, how can I get better than this? Even when it's good, how can I get better? And this is what we're saying to people now is, how can I get better than this? And yeah, I'm loving the technology. I'm loving things that are going on. It's not all bad, John.
No, absolutely not. I mean, look at it this way: any technology that we can use to share bad news can also be used to share good. There isn't anything that I don't think there's many things that are only bad. Transhumanism is only bad, but there aren't many things that are that. But even then, I think some of Elon's technology is supposed to be, like cures for epilepsy and things like that. But it's like a Trojan horse issue, really. Yeah. But I mean, pretty much anything that can be used for bad can also be used for good. These, technology is just a tool, but it's very handy. I've sat at some length sometimes and spoken about the dangers of technology, but while at the same time using technology in order to share that information. So it's great to have new beginnings. Obviously we're coming somewhere close to the end of this year. The end of another new chapter and the beginning, the start of a new one again come January. So this is actually quite a good time to think about, start thinking about, what kind of life we want to have next year. What kind of 2023 do we want to have for ourselves, for our families? What do we want to achieve? And, think about setting some of those goals. Think about it in advance. We've got a couple of months away yet before we'll be making our New Year resolution, but there's no reason why we shouldn't start thinking about it now.
Yeah, and it's like we've got that workshops there for people to come on and have that quiet time and give them some tools to help them do that as well. But you can start. I remember one of the workshops we did not long ago was automatic writing. Have you ever tried that, John?
I've done a little bit of that at home now and again.
Yeah,
I've done
You just put the first thoughts that come in your head, you just write. And once you start, you can stop. Yeah. And it's really good when you're setting goals for yourself. You're not quite sure what you want to do. Just write, and then you can make something out of all the rubbish you write as well. It's like, oh my god, actually, I come up with some ideas here, or doodle, or do a mind map, and it can be quite funny. And it's that first thoughts that it could be channel thoughts, or just higher.
Yeah, well, it pretty much is. I mean, if you're it's an intuitive format, isn't it? Automatic writing. If you're literally writing down everything that comes in, I mean, automatic writing. The theory is, isn't it, that you're not actually thinking about what you're writing at all. You're just allowing your hand to take over, in a
Yeah,
sense, aren't you? And just whatever comes in here before you've even had the thought, it's already written on paper. It's interesting what comes out when you do that.
no, it's not always about
But
connecting. You can use it as a mediumship tool, but it's not always about mediumship. It's about your channel thoughts, whether it's your higher self or spirit, or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. I
It's
tend to
just
think it's your higher self that's really coming through when it's
yeah.
that, and it's. I think also it's probably more likely to be messages for you personally rather than something for anyone else. So it's not something I would think about doing for a client, but it's something I would do for myself. It's
Tell you
quite a
what,
good thing to do. Yeah.
what I'm doing this weekend is the timeline readings. Remember them? I think
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
the workshops, you were quite impressed with that.
Mm,
And you can try this at home, guys. And it's like you can draw a line, and it's the person in front of you, and you put the year they were born and to the age they are now. And you just look at the line and you stare at it, and you just put little ups and down arrows or just lines on the line and guess the age. Something happened there, you were age 12, something happened there. You will not believe how accurate that can be. Just that thought. And you say, did something happen when you were that age or that year? And they go, how did you know that? I don't know, it's just a line. It's like, and it starts the process of us reading past
mm.
lives or present lives. And I think you were quite surprised the first time you tried that, John.
Yeah, it was an interesting exercise. That's a few years ago now. It's the first time I've
They're
even
good at
thought
getting us
about it.
again. Yeah.
For a while, yeah, but that was actually very interesting exercise. It kind of reminded me about something which is different, but in along a similar vein of thinking about your timeline. Is that if you're an exercise for if you're feeling, for example, worried about something that's upcoming, so a student has got exam coming up, or you think you're going to have an argument with your boss at work or whatever it is to visualize yourself, rising above your point of where you are now. Imagine a timeline which goes past the event that you are at. All right.
Yeah.
Imagine how you're feeling just now, all the fear and stuff like that, and then project yourself past the event and down onto the timeline beyond it. Let's say a few days afterwards, okay, and let go of that and look back at it and say to yourself, okay, how worried I am? How worried am I about this now? Am
Exactly.
I still so panicked about it? You realize when you realize how you're going to feel when the thing's over. Wait a minute, I didn't need to worry about it in the first place. It's like you start thinking about all the times that you have worried about something that's going to happen, and then you've gone through it and you've got the other side and you've worried, wait a minute, and you've thought to yourself, wait a minute, why was I so worried? I didn't need to. And this
Exactly.
kind of timeline exercise is really handy to project yourself just beyond the time of the event, and then look back at the event again and see, oh, wait a minute, that wasn't so hard after all.
And it's just like I always say when I've got clients in hypnotherapy sense and they get stuck, ask your future self, you know, what happened, or ask your future self what to do next. And it's just like that's what you reminded me of, John, is you
Mhm.
can ask your future self, because they're saying there's no such thing as time. And there's a lot of research done on that. And it's like, so you can ask your future self, your future consciousness, your future energy. And it's surprising what comes back, isn't it, John? And you've been in my
Mm.
classes where and people say to me, "Oh, you can't read people's past lives." By the end of the course, they are wide awake and saying, "Oh my God, what have I just done?" Now, and that's a simple exercise and just relaxing and being in the zone with lovely people and experimenting, because it is about experimenting. And it's amazingly powerful things to do. It does help with anxiety. It does help overcome these things, John. They're powerful tools.
Yeah, not only that, but my future self told me I'm going to be minted soon. I'm really happy about that. I'm just waiting for all the money to flow in.
It might be a future life right life, John. You never know
Yeah,
that.
oh, cheers.
And that
Yeah,
minted
it'll
maybe
be my next
tasting sneeze
lifetime.
or something, you know. But I always say is, saying never give up and keep trying and stuff like that. And it's you know not everything you visualize happens straight away, and we're not always in charge of the timeline. of that. But the intent that you've already achieved it, if you keep that and believe in that, 9 out of 10 times it normally happens. And it will. Now, there's so many books written about this. There's tons of stuff out there on YouTube, on different books in the library and positive thinking. And I remember that book I think my uncle gave me, and it was A Lazy Man's Way to Riches, John. Remember I gave it to you? And they
Yeah,
talked about
yeah.
it a year ago.
There's a few books like that, yeah.
And that is all about visualization.
Most of them are. I mean, most of them are kind of variation on a theme along the lines of the law of attraction. Again, these principles can work as long as we remember there isn't just one universal law. And we kind of integrate as much as we can. It's a lot more likely to work. I'm saying that obviously as someone who has not yet got rich, even though my future self told me I'm going to. But watch this space. It has already happened. And this is the thing, you see. This is what you do, though. If you make jokes about it and you don't really believe it, then it's never going to happen. So you have to genuinely believe it.
Yeah.
And you have to genuinely know it.
And speaking about believing, we'll let it seems we've got a few people here. Will we do a couple of angel cards tonight, or will we just carry on with the conversation? Do you think they deserve getting a couple of cards for them tonight? They've been very quiet. They've been very quiet tonight, haven't they?
They're very quiet. I haven't noticed much conversation except for Claire. Claire definitely deserves a card because she's contributed.
Yeah, it's like
the rest of you guys are just being lazy tonight. You're just shy of what is it?
Well, it's like
I'm shy. I've got no courage at all, and yet I'm on here doing this. And I guarantee you, a few years ago, you could not have got me on to do live on social media. Never mind on about 10 different channels.
Yeah, and you think,
if I can do this, so can you.
It's not always about the pulling the card. It's
no.
Tonight it was a serious conversation for the first hour anyway. But
yeah,
because
that's right.
it's angels as well, I thought we would pull a couple of angel cards tonight anyway. And I've got the messages from angel cards, and they're quite an old pack from Dawn and Virtue, but they're a lovely pack. One of the first packs I ever used.
I'll have to dig out some angel cards. I haven't got them right next to me.
The abundance one as well. So you're talking about money.
Nice. Oh yeah, there we go. We need that.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Claire. It was a great discussion. It was very interesting. And we want to have more of these discussions as well. And sometimes we won't be able to pull cards and stuff like that. But I thought, seeing it tonight, we'll do some angel cards. So, Claire, I'll pull one for you, seeing you're not very well. Maybe this will cheer you up a little bit. Here we go. Oh, I like this. This is for Claire, John. And it's look at that lovely angel there. Oh, just lovely. And lovely colour orange, very healing colours around you. And the angel of peace now bring a new, tranquil and smoother road ahead. Because sometimes when we're forced to take time out because we're not well, it gives us the chance to rethink and organise. Yes, organise, Claire. Ways forward. And it gives you that time. And yeah, Heather, I think you can pull a wee card for Heather Lane. We can capture their names so we know that they're getting a card.
Okay.
Highlight the chat here.
Well,
Heather would love. Show. Here we go. Heather's getting a wee card from John. Have you got your cards there, John?
I just so happened to just grab the Angels and Ancestors Oracle cards.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I just happened just when I went up there to have a look at the decks, that was the one that kind of jumped out at me. It almost fell on my head actually. So this one definitely has to be it. So I'm doing one for Heather. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, Heather. Here we go. An Angels and Ancestors card for Heather coming up. Then we'll see what it has to say. Right then. Well, that's interesting considering what we were just talking about. So I'll show you the card first of all. Okay. Now you might not be able to see what it says on it. So this is a High Priest, and it says intend and create. So, and we were literally just talking about that kind of positive thinking stuff, Heather. We're talking about things like the law of attraction and all that kind of thing. I feel like saying there is something that you want, that you want to do. Maybe you're not totally sure that you can. Maybe you want something more than you think you can. And sometimes we just need that extra little bit of belief. We need to know that we can, and we need to just be willing to put ourselves forward and take one small step at a time. And so it's really about, and you were talking about setting goals, actually intention setting. I really think you need to set the intention first and then plan. So intend and create, Heather. That's my advice for you today. I hope that works for you.
Yeah, I've got a good feeling about that as well, Heather. So I think that's good. Now I've got Lindsay. Lindsay McDonald, could I have a card, please? Now, I have went for the Angel Abundance cards for you, Lindsay, because that's what I was drawn to. And I'm going to give them a good reshuffle here. But I'm feeling, when I tune into it, a little bit of frustration around you, Lindsay. So I'm kind of feeling that maybe things aren't going as well as they could be, right? But positivity, faith, and optimism is a card here. And it's a lovely, colourful card. And when I look at the card, I always say look at the card first before you read the writing. And I'm drawn to the lovely sort of tigery cat there as well, and the lion, and looking after the sheep there at the bottom. So it's all about strength and keeping strong. And this lovely angel with lovely wings above her, a lot of yellow and red, so it's been direct. You open the doorway to positive experiences and your opportunities with your positive expectations and energy. Do not allow negative energy or temporary setbacks to interfere with the path that you are on. Keep the faith and keep going. And that's what it's all about. It's a lovely card there. Is remember to keep the faith. We all get knockbacks. Life gives us knockbacks, John. You know what I mean? Things happen, as they say, shit happens. It's like, and you got to deal with it. You can't walk away from it, and you got to find solutions to that problems, and you do find solutions. And I feel that you'd actually find the solutions, Lindsay, and you are going to move forward and just keep that faith in your own abilities and don't let negativity overrule that, if you know what I mean. Ellen Stewart, she's looking for a card, John. Ellen's lovely, one of our regular clients as well.
Okay. Ellen Stewart. Well, Ellen, I still have the angels and ancestors here. So I'll stick with that just now. You see, I've been shuffling away ever since while Derek was talking there. So here we go, a card for Ellen.
Big screen.
Wow, I feel really special now. I'm not quite sure it's a good idea putting me in a big screen, to be honest with you. So here we go. I will show you this now. It's quite a nice card, actually, that, isn't it? Lovely card. Mirror Guardian, take time to reflect. Yeah, this thing about the mirrors, they are for looking into, and they say that, if you look into a mirror, you can look into your soul. And, actually coming towards the end of the year as well, Ellen, this is we're thinking about new beginnings come next year and what you want to do in 2023. I was talking about earlier on. What's relevant for you as well is to think about where you've been and how you have arrived at where you are now. It's kind of reflecting over the past year, reflecting over 2022. How do you feel about where you're at now? What do you want to achieve next year? I feel like saying there's some kind of challenge around you that you might have been dealing with, and it could benefit you just to take a mirror view of that and to do a little bit of soul searching and some of that internal work that we've been talking about through this show, and then you'll be a much better place to decide where you want to go from here, what you want to do next year, how you want to move forward in terms of different aspects of your life and challenges that you might have had over the last little while. So I hope that helps for you.
It's so spot on because there is big changes coming with Ellen because hopefully, I don't know what the situation is with your house, Ellen, but they were moving house and that's massive. So there's a lot of things going on here, John. So to me, I think you were spot on there.
No, thank you.
Heather Lane says thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome, Heather.
Yeah, and sorry, Claire and all that. And thanks a lot. Now, Jen would love a card. I'm going to tune into Jen. I'll pull on that. I'm drawing to abundance cards again. So I just cut the pack here. Oh, this is maybe quite relevant to you, Jen, because it's the power of prayer. And this is what John was on about earlier on. It's the the law of attraction. It's visualizing it, the power of prayer. It's the law of resonance as well, where you allow. You'll make me bigger so you can see me. It's like you're now demoted, John, to the small screen.
I don't mind. I don't mind.
And this
I'm
is
used
all
to it.
about. It's the prayer. It's the intention. But what is the prayer? And being clear with your prayers or your intentions. So give the situation to God for uplifting and healing, and be open to miracles. Heaven's unlimited resource, love and answers are waiting your prayers. Be sure to act upon the divine guidance God gives you in response to your prayers. Because we get little clues, and a lot of people forget that we do get little signs, right? It could be something that's shown on TV 3 times in a row. It could be a song that comes on the radio that's getting you to do something. So we've got to be aware. And a lot of people forget that, John, is we do get little signs from the universe or whatever you believe in. And it could be a bird flying in front of you or anything like that, So it's just being aware and being in that now. And just saying to yourself, don't want anything, don't need anything. I'm just going to observe and take the breath. And it's as simple as that. It really is as simple as that. Just observing, I think I'm back. I don't know if I like the big screen either, John. Maybe that's better.
less intimidating, is it?
There's Ellen just give us some feedback. I'll let you see it here. Amazing, so relevant, very big turmoil in the last 2 weeks, and definitely be doing some soul searching, everything up in the air. Hopefully next year will bring clarity. Thank you.
So I'm glad it helps. Thank you. You're welcome.
Well, and there's Jen saying, well, we're just saying to a friend, you can't do anything else on a certain matter than have left in God's hands. See, it all comes through here. Well, we're all picking up on the energies that's there. And if anyone else wants a card, please say. But we're just talking about the law of attraction stuff, John.
Yeah.
A lot of people think it's just about attracting money and wealth. What's your view on that?
Money and wealth. Okay.
A lot of people assume the law of attraction is about that.
No. Well, the law of attraction will attract to you according to your current state. So it's not literally about what you ask for or what you think you want. It's what's energetically resonant with your current state, whatever that happens to be. So if your current state is not healthy, then you will naturally attract something unhealthy to you. If your resonant state, if your state is healthy and good, then you'll attract healthy things to you. If you have an abundant mindset, then abundance will flow to you in some way, shape, or form. It's not necessarily in the case of money, though, because again, that again depends on your state and very often on your opinion of money, because a lot of people do, if not most people, have actually got quite a negative perspective on money. They almost feel guilty about having it, and some people tend to blame those who have it for having it. Look how much envy there is in the world and negativity that's projected towards very wealthy people, for example. We believe, a lot of people, I'm not saying we necessarily, but a lot of people believe that they should be taxed to the help to help to pay the costs of running the world. And so we're very often, most of us have probably got quite an unhealthy mindset when it comes to money. And so therefore we're unlikely to attract it to ourselves. So it's really all about our state. So that's why the inner work is always so important. That's why we have to do that. When we get our state right and when we get ourselves into the right place, then we can begin to naturally attract things to us without actually trying. As long as you have to really try hard all the time, then probably you're still needing to do some of that inner work.
Yeah.
And that's why mostly it doesn't work. That's why that's literally why it doesn't work for so many people.
Couldn't have put it better myself, John. as I knew you would put you in a spot there, but no, it's true. It's true, and I think when the movie The Secret came out, a lot of people thought it was about money because they spoke about money quite a lot in that first movie. Great movie, and if anyone hasn't seen it, watch The Secret, and there's other versions of it as well. And it's like money can come from unexpected sources when you're not thinking about it. And it's so true. I've seen me sort of down and out. You know what? I'll still be positive. I've been down my last 5, 10 quid, John. And then all of a sudden, the universe just replenishes me with something that's come from some strange. It could come from a friend. It could come from a job. And I don't worry about it, you know, because every time, and I remember having a discussion, my son always brings this up, and he remembers I had 10 quid left one Friday, right? And I says, well, I'll get a McDonald's for the kids. Now, that's unhealthy. I shouldn't really do that, but it was good fun. It was in Fort William. Will I go and pay for some decent food or something like that? Or will I go and put one in the electricity meter? So we put it to a vote. The two kids says, let's go to McDonald's and sit and watch the ships go by, you know, down to the kind of shorefront in Fort William. So we did that with a great laugh. We didn't worry about the money. We just had a great time. And I got a phone call with a big booking who paid in advance for 200 quid. So it's like out the blue. I didn't even think about it, and it was straight by PayPal in my bank. Great, and great with a great weekend. And it's the same. Come up to Christmas. I remember one year, wasn't sure if I could afford Christmas and all that, and then I went. And actually, I was invited for a cup of tea to the local priest. You know, I'm not brought up, not Catholic, you know, but he just wanted to come round. He was doing a funeral. He was wanted to talk to me, and I come round and he says, "Listen." And I thought, this guy, what are you saying, listen for, right? And it was Father Roddy, people knows him in Fort William. Listen, this is Christmas Eve, John. I'm listening. He says, can you hear it? He says, what can you hear? The panic, right? The panic about Christmas dinner. Everyone get panic about Christmas. And he actually made me think, do we need to panic about Christmas? It's a celebration. Why are people panicking, Derek? And he put it back to me, and I went, I don't know why they're panicking about Christmas. He says, why are you panicking? Right? It's like, so made me think, he says, why am I panicking? It's like, this is, what can you do? I'll go and see my granny, I'll go and see some uncles and cousins I haven't seen for a while. I'll go for a walk. And again, I went and seen them, spent some time with them. And this is not true. Speed of the taxi phones me up. Right, I need a different present for the wife. I want to pay you now for a party that you're going to do in the future. Okay. This is at 12 o'clock. Comes up. Cash, gives me cash. Like later on, I just want, give me a receipt. I want to put it in the card. And he sent me away. And I went, I've not got 200 quid to go shopping with. It's like, I think it was 250 or something like that, you know. This is a few years ago, and this is like a big party. And I went, okay, you know, I can always, you know, I'm going to do it, and I'll make sure I do it. But it gave me that little bit extra to go and visit, and I bought some presents for the family. Because I stopped worrying about it. I actually spent time that morning going visiting people. And that's what the law of attraction is about. To me, it's like not worrying about it. Because I did worry, it's just, it'll come. It'll come in its own time, its own way. And by God, does it come when you need it.
Well, another good way of having things come to you with the law of attraction is to stop trying to attract money in the first place. You know, as soon as you try to attract money, then you start thinking about the means by which you're going to attract that money. You know, is it a promotion? Is it a better job? Is money going to fall out the sky? And that's not a good way. Again, it comes back to the negative mindset about money. So what to do instead is to manifest the things that you actually want with the money. You know, so if you want to go on a holiday, then that's what you want. If you need some new clothes, then that's what you want. If you want to buy some nice Christmas presents for your family, then that's what you want. You know, if you want to have a party, then that's what you want. But what you want is the things that you want because of the money. And the money is only a tool. The money is only ever a tool. It's never anything else. As long as you concentrate on thinking about money, then what you're going to do is attract the lack because of that lack mentality towards money. So don't think about money at all. Just think about the things, you know, manifest and do your positive thinking exercises in whatever way, shape, or form that makes sense to you. Do it while thinking about and embodying the idea of having the things that you actually want to have, rather than having the money to pay for those things.
Yeah. I think that's it, and it's like my kids use it. You know, they can visualize things, and I remember it's like sitting next to the kids and saying, "Right, we'll visualize what we're going to have for tea. We'll all send what we want to each other in their mind, right? And we should sit there and all receive, just like sending a wee email. And it was fascinating how I used to pick up from them, what they used to pick up from me. And it just goes back to the kind of angel and alien things, as the telepathic, and they say that people can communicate. We can do it ourselves by sending that intent and thought. And I think when you put that intent and thought out to the universe, it's very black and white. It's like the genie going, the genie card, right? The wish card. He's sitting rubbing his arm saying, what do you want? Tell me. The biggest problem people have is they don't know what they want in their lives or what they need sometimes. It's like some people are quite content with having nothing and just living a life of lack, or being the victim and being in the victim mode and stuff like that. They're quite content. They'll stay like that for years until the penny drops and saying, maybe I could change and do something different. We've all been like that, John, haven't we?
Yeah, well, you can get into a spiral of kind of negative mindset and not being positive, and then kind of have where you think, oh well, I have to accept my lot, sort of thing. Oh, it's never going to get better, so you learn to accept it. That also kind of breeds the kind of envy and negative mindset about money that I've been talking about. So sometimes the first priority is really to just kind of resolve that mindset and not and not let yourself go down that rabbit hole in the first place.
Yeah, and I think it's we've got a couple of new people there. Hey, it's Emma, and
Yeah.
is it
Hello, Emma.
Ward, and it's just like if we've only got like sort of 10 minutes left of the show. People want to ask any questions on some of the subjects tonight: angels and aliens, abundant, some of the cards we've pulled, and feel free to ask any questions. And just bear in mind, it takes about 30 seconds before we see the question. But,
and we'll do our best to give what meager answers that we can come up with at short notice.
And it's like we hope we're going to make this regular every Thursday night, and we're sticking to it. And John will fill in when other people can't, and we're hoping to get back to. I'm going to do my tea break with Psychic Group more often as well. Then we're getting to more structure at work, and hopefully, John, we can kickstart the Psychic Breakfast Show. We've been trying it for years, but
yes, I know
it's a different concept.
It seems the poor thing seems to live in the back burner.
Yeah,
but we'll get there eventually. But we're obviously doing our own things as well, so we'll get there with it. So Ward is saying that he's greetings from Belgium. Well, hello from Belgium. That's cool, isn't it? We've got people from all over the place coming on to us.
Yeah, and it's really cool. Like the subject tonight was, even get back to the captions, was Ward is angels and aliens, and we had a good conversation about, are some angels aliens and stuff like that, and we sort of shared some of our views and whatnots, and not conspiracy, but just asking the questions and what people's views are on that. And next week we're talking about new beginnings next Thursday night. So every Thursday night, 7:30 on Twitch and YouTube, and my own platform, there will be having a chat show, on spiritual topics, on alien topics, on ghost.
When you're on the feed, Derek, is the time when we're most likely to talk about all the woo-woo stuff.
Yes, and
because that's just me through and through.
Yeah, also because you do the cards as well.
Yes, that's right.
And I encourage him to do that. It's an opportunity for John to practice as well. It's like, we actually don't practice it; you actually do it now. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So let's see if we get this. Very interesting aliens. Yeah, I think we all are. I think there's more and more people interested in and there is a lot of information on YouTube and Gaia TV and there's a lot of mainstream people now actually starting to talk about the subject.
Yeah. Again, every time I think about the information on around social media about alien, ET, angels, and channeling and things like that, I just have to keep coming back with that caution. That 95% of it is poor quality information. The old saying is half you can't believe and the other half is lies. And And a lot of it is deliberate misinformation in order to muddy the waters and confuse, so that we never really know what's actually going on and what's happening. So we have to use our discernment pretty much with everything we see out there.
Yeah, and Claire's saying
You know?
it's not so taboo anymore, and it's true. It's not so taboo anymore, and people are having. John had you haven't had a regression from me yet, John, have you?
No, I haven't had a regression. No, that's right.
Yeah.
In fact, I've never, Ellen, I've never had a past life regression at all in my life, to be honest. It's like one of those. It's like one of those things. It's a bit. I say I've got this thing inside my head, which is, will I be able to do it? It's like if I'm lying there and and the past life regression is happening, I'm worried in case I don't go under and nothing happens. It's like, like if you go to a hypnotist show and you're there, right? And the last time I went to a hypnotist show, and the guy's, he's saying, like, put your arms out in front of you and things like that, and he wanders around to see who's hypnotized, and you're tapping your hand and things like that, and wander around, and he decides who to use and stuff like that. I never get picked because I'm never under. But one of these days, Derek, I'll let you do. But I'll joking aside, one of these days I'll let Derek do one for me.
You were on a workshop years ago that we demonstrated, or we did the timeline readings, we did stuff, and we all picked up on it. And Ward's asking, ever heard about Mission Real Mars? Is it? You see that, John?
Mission Real Mars? No. Well, Ward, you have got the better of me there. I haven't heard of that.
Haven't heard of that. So
I haven't heard of that. So it's something for me to dig into afterwards. I'll have a look for that. Thanks for mentioning it.
Yeah, and just to let people know, every Thursday we're going to be on here on Twitch and YouTube, and John will come on as a guest down again as well, and I'll be starting the tea break with Psychic again. That's quite good. That's more like card pulling, having a bit of fun. But we're trying to make these chat shows more about the subjects and not so much about the cards and stuff. And we will pull cards when we feel like it as well, John, won't we? But it's more about the subjects, because we want to get the debates and out there to people, because a lot of people ask me these questions when they come and see me, and we can't really discuss these things. But now we've got platforms we can use to discuss these issues, or feelings, emotions that people have, spiritual development, ghosty stuff. Because people always ask that question. People are always curious, John, aren't they?
People, well, yes. I mean, I've been curious about a lot of this kind of stuff since I was a teenager. I mean, I bought my first book on UFOs when I was about 15.
Yeah.
That's how far back I go and dig. But what is surprising me, Ward, I've not heard of Mission Real Mars, but you're saying that it was something that were meant to govern us. That sounds interesting.
Yeah,
it sounds like something related to the Anunnaki then, or something like that. But I'll have a look at that after we're off.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah,
because we're always looking at different things, and there's so many paths and avenues that we've went down over the years, John, and looked at, researched at, and connected with as well. And it's a fascinating subject. There's so many different things from different entities, and I think you've got to be open-minded and make your own judgments on it.
Yeah.
Not everybody will agree with everything that everybody says. I think you've got to feel it yourself. And I think if we've gone about the past slides, if we come from different planets, for example, we will not have the same experiences as other humans. And some people say we've not just had hundreds of lives, we've had billions of lives. So that's an interesting concept to finish on, isn't it, John?
It's quite possible. Well, our souls, have probably been manifesting in this solar system since its birth. I mean, according to anthroposophy, that's the case. So basically, any suggestions that we are really aliens and things like that wouldn't be true, really, because we've been manifesting here and incarnating here since the birth of the solar system. We are part of the solar system, integrated within it. That doesn't mean, though, that our souls weren't elsewhere before the formation of this solar system. That eons upon eons ago, we didn't originate, somewhere else. But as far as, but it depends. Again, this is just an opinion, and it depends on what you believe. It depends where discernment leads you. But according to anthroposophy, I've been reading a little bit about that recently. The theory is that we have existed here since the birth of the solar system. But just don't believe what they say when they tell you the aliens are gods, and then you won't go on too badly with your research.
I think you got to keep. you can see why a native race would have thought that a
Yeah.
flying
I mean,
plane,
this
for
is it. But
example,
this is it. You see,
would
I
have
mean,
gone.
we're indigenous.
Dragon.
All of us are indigenous to here. Okay,
Yeah.
and we may have had lifetimes elsewhere previously, but all of us are indigenous to here. ET is not our god, and transhumanism is a bad thing.
Yeah.
And that's me happy that I've got that out of the way.
I totally agree with that, and I think we've got to question
Yeah.
things that go on, and a lot of it is scaremongering as well, because
A lot of it is, yeah. A lot of it is, yeah.
Elon Musk, as it says, keeps changing his mind on that. So we often wonder. Anyway, thanks, Ellen, and everybody else is out there for
Thank
tuning
you,
in.
everybody. Yes, thank you,
Yeah.
everybody that's joined us today and contributed and asked us questions and taken cars off us. Gives us good practice, and it gives me good practice.
Yeah, and a good subject again. And next week we've got a good subject, New Beginnings, and interested to speak to Lorna. And the week after that, we've got other guests coming on as well. And right up to, we're going to do a specially Christmassy, ghosty one. Andrew's going to maybe do some storytelling. So that'll be interesting. And around about the 15th.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, and we've also got some parties in the office. Both the tea parties are full. We're in Aberdeen. We're back in Aberdeen, John. You can come and see us. From the 9th to the 12th, we've got a kind of Christmas extravaganza in the Spa Salon in the Market Street on the Friday night.
Oh yeah, that's the 9th to the 12th, isn't it? Yeah, okay, that's cool.
And we've got, we'll be there doing readings, therapies and that on the Saturday. And this Sunday, we're doing a tea party. So get in touch with the clinics, all on the website, happymedium.co.uk. And on the Monday, we'll be there for therapies as well. And then up here, we've got the tea party, and I've got a show in the Snug. There's a Christmas dinner in the afternoon, and I'll do a little bit after that. And then we're going to have, you won't believe this one. This is quite a good one. And it was kind of, Angela thought this one up. Instead of Mad Friday, where everybody goes and gets drunk, we're having a mystical Mad Friday on the 23rd in the office.
Mystical Friday, why not? Yeah, that sounds cool.
Mystical Mad Friday.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
And it's going to be, some demonstrations of what we do through the day. Then we'll all have a few dramas and whatnot.
A mystical Mad Friday kind of suggests that you might be inviting some ghosties along.
You never know. You never know. There's definitely ghosts.
It could get woo-woo. That's almost an introduction to the woo-woos.
There's definitely stuff going on. The last workshop we did, we had Sarah from the Scottish Ghost Hunters. Well, I can't remember the exact pronunciation of the group, but she brought her tools, and strange things were happening, and we were communicating with whatever you believe in. But things were happening. It's like in the office. It was quite interesting because the office goes back to the 17th century, so it was an interesting building. Anyway, we'll say thanks to everybody for tuning in.
Yeah.
And thanks again, John, for coming on and giving us
more than welcome
banter and whatnot, and talking about our favourite subject.
I know, yeah.
And well, you never know. We might even have some videos the next time. It's like
I'll see if I can dig up.
Yeah. So thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Speak to you in a few minutes.
You should.